Hey everybody, what's up? Haven't done a video in a while, but been pretty busy. Um, Working, trying to meet these deadlines, getting a lot of my books done. That's a whole nother thing. But what I did want to discuss today with you is, how do you practice in 52 or any other martial arts when you're by yourself? When you're basically the only martial artist with your particular style or techniques that you use, and you don't have a training partner. Well, it's difficult if you want to work on your timing, your execution, and your repetition of the technique while engaging against an opponent. You need a training partner, period. There's no substitution for that, and the only way that you can get that down and understand what you're doing when you're going against a skilled fighter versus an unskilled fighter. And let me tell you, I am 44 now. I started training when I was about 21, 22, somewhere around there. About 21, 22. And the thing that got me into it, which I'm sure is what got a lot of people in it, was Bruce Lee. The speed, the technique at which he executed everything at the level of it was incredible. So it really motivated a lot of people. Specifically, it just motivated a lot of a lot of us minorities, because we were excited. That was something that we were checking out. We were peeping that every Saturday or every day, or whatever. People were into it, man, and that's the thing I'm still into. I believe that's what motivated me to get into the martial arts. And I had an opportunity to train with a guy who was very much so into Jeet Kune Do, and his background. He had been taking a number of different martial arts. He was in the military, and we started to discuss about Bruce Lee and different things. So he started showing me stuff, and he started teaching me a lot of the basic techniques, a lot of the basic things. And then I started to keep advancing that training. And so what I started to do was I trained all the time. I trained at least 3 to 4 times a day, because at this time, single, no kids, no family, you got all the time in the world to train. And so I really started to investigate the different styles of martial arts that were out there, and what was applicable to me, as far as like my height, my arm reach, the things I feel comfortable with, what worked as far as technique when I'm sparring with different guys my size or bigger, shorter guys, taller guys with shorter reach, shorter guys that may have, or same size as me, longer reaches. And then you start to understand how to deal with all of those different opponents. And when I first heard about 52 blocks, that was a whole nother motivational point for me, because there were some things in there that I hadn't seen, but there was some things in there that were similar but not the same as other things, because of the way that it was executed. To me, there is these little bitty changes of things, some things you see people do that remind you of it if you knew what 52 blocks was. Now I'm gonna tell you, if you were not a 52 blocker or not a martial artist and you went up against a 52 blocker, you would be confused, because you wouldn't understand where these techniques are coming from. But I spent a lot of time reading and training and sparring with different people way before I started learning 52 blocks. But I find that I really enjoy all of the techniques and the things that I can really apply, especially apply to the way that I fight. And so, you know, I tell my son this because my son is, he's in Kyokushin, and he is going for his green belt next. So he's 10 years old, he's going for his green belt. And before that, he was in Taekwondo, and he was in the Tiny Tigers. But once he got out of the Tiny Tigers, he was, man, he started when he was 4 or 5 years old. And he's still training, you know, today. So he goes about 3 or 4 times a week. So maybe before he's about 13, 14, he'll have his black belt in Kyokushin. And that's really tough to do because Kyokushin is not one of those martial arts where you can just go in, test every month, and then get your belt. You still have to, not saying that, you know, if they do that, that they don't have the competency of learning the lesson plan that's in front of them. But Kyokushin is really a very contact heavy martial art. It's still very rooted in old traditional ways of training and fighting and sparring, and the kumite that they have and in their testings, that's a whole new level of things. So for people who don't know, or people who haven't, you know, trained in that particular style. So but me myself, I'm very much so a proponent of loving boxing, using my hands. I do kicks, but I like kicks that are going to inflict the most damage and against, you know, the most effective tools possible. So, you know, kicking above the waist, to me, I don't really go for it. That's just for me, because I found just in fights that I have had, you know, which is quite a few, because where I'm from, you know, you got to get into scuffles. If you're not getting in fights, you know, not just to prove my technique, but at that time it was just because I had to defend myself, you know. So, you know, now it's more of I'm learning the techniques, but I'm also still trying to keep those techniques very much applied to the street theory of, if this happens, then this happens. Not if this happens, then you do this with this technique. You know, your body should be able to adjust and readjust in the middle of fights without you thinking about, okay, maybe I need to do this. And that just comes from the more experience you have in fights, you know, period. Not saying you need to go get in fights, but the more sparring you have, the more you're going to be able to say whether this technique works or not. So I just wanted to put up this video, man. I hope you guys are having a great day, and you will see more videos and techniques of me practicing and working on my 52. You're probably going to see some different things too in there. You're probably going to see some Jigundo techniques. You're probably going to see my son from time to time hopping in here training with me. So you guys have a great day. Hope you take it easy. Peace.